it was always us against the elites. And that's the way it has been for the last 40 plus years I've been in public life. Us against the elites.
It was always us against the elites. Interesting to hear that. Especially coming from somebody like Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. You know, for years I've always heard people talk about the elites that are out to basically feel like they are better than the average common person, and how we are basically in a fight against these so-called elites. But the interesting thing about that video is that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, who says it's always been us against the elites, was on a very, very expensive cruise ship that was paid for by none other than Harlan Crow. Let's just say that him and Clarence Thomas have been friends for years. The funny part is, apparently, is that they only became friends after he became a Supreme Court Justice. But Harlan Crow is a very wealthy billionaire, very influential, a very, very staunch conservative. And it's no coincidence, actually, that some cases that came before the Supreme Court were some of his cases, essentially. And it's amazing how, as of right now, Clarence Thomas has received more gifts than any other Supreme Court justice currently. Now, before anybody tries to jump down conspiracy lane or say that this is pretty much like a nothing burger, essentially, we have to remember something. We're always convinced that there are deep shadow operatives, people working behind the scenes, working to influence government policy to basically change the outcome of this country. And what's amazing is the fact that we seem to be focusing all of our attention in the wrong direction. We always worry about those that are very influential and have the money and they're able to buy the influence are the ones that are actually making policy decisions. A while back, I took part in a discussion as to whether lobbyists should be allowed in political institutions, and I was on the negative side. And it's not because I don't support lobbyists. I do think there are some good lobbyists out there that actually hold true to the values that they're trying to fight for. But I worry about the big lobbyists. We're talking about like the NRA. We're talking about Big Pharma. We're talking about all these major organizations that basically say, hey, listen, if you vote for this legislation, we'll help fund for your campaign. It happens all the time. But I worry about the fact because in the Supreme Court, you actually don't have to disclose who your donors are or how much money that they basically give you. Every other branch of the government or any other elected representative has to follow those principles, essentially. But the Supreme Court does not. But the funny thing is we don't vote for the Supreme Court. Our politicians vote for the Supreme Court, and they vote whether they want to elect them or not. So when Clarence Thomas talks about it's us against the elites, which elites is he talking about exactly? That's what I would like to know. Which elites is he pointing out to us? And the thing is, there are elites and there are people that are trying to overturn and basically guide our country in a certain direction that's going to benefit them. But the funny part is that for years, Trump has talked about the deep state has always been out to get him. The deep state has always been trying to undermine every single thing he does. And the deep state is basically this belief that there's like this strong secret shadow government that's working behind the scenes to try to manipulate the election, or is working behind the scenes with the US military to kind of undermine things. That's basically what the deep state is. And Trump, for the longest time, has been peddling this idea that the deep state has been working behind the scenes to undermine all the decisions that he's been trying to make. And he's also trying to insinuate that the deep state is, out to get him, essentially. Well, let's talk about this real quick. Who are the elites, and is there a deep state? So let's kind of go through it one by one. So first things first, the belief that there is like some secret shadow government right now trying to overtake and try to like influence our government in many different directions is entirely possible. But the thing is, I think we're focusing all of our attention on the wrong people. For years, people have always been pointing at one person and one person only. And it's pretty much been the right been doing this for the past 8 years now. And who is this person? George Soros. Yes, that George Soros, the wealthy billionaire. Everybody insinuates that people like George Soros is behind all the turmoil, behind all the political appointments. Everybody tries to say anytime you have a progressive opponent or a progressive candidate, this person is funded by George Soros. Which I'm willing to bet that a lot of these people are not funded by George Soros. It's just a good talking point. Because when you look at it, Americans really do have the attention span of goldfish. If you try to explain a situation long enough and try to drag it out, people are going to get bored by it. You have to put some nice catchphrases in there, and you actually have to make it interesting. You have to capture people's attention. And what's more captivating than this belief that there is some left-wing deep state government that is out to take your money, and we're bringing people in from across the border so they can vote in our elections and steal all the American jobs, and there's going to be a great replacement where all the white people are going to be replaced. This is the stuff that will capture the attention of American people. The thing is, it doesn't have to be true. It just has to capture people's attention. And it does. It does. It really does. I mean, for weeks, we talked about whether Haitian migrants were eating dogs and cats when the mayor and, the town commissioner or whatnot, the police, the governor even came out and said, it's not happening. It's not true. People still believe that this story was happening. Why? Because stories like this capture people's attention, even if they are not true. And who's great about peddling misinformation? None other than the right-leaning media. And who else helps peddle this stuff? Trump. Trump is great at peddling stories. He is great about peddling misinformation because he knows people are dumb enough to believe him. And listen, if you're going to watch this video and get mad at me, I don't give a shit. I'm just telling you what's fucking true. Because people in this country, and they did like a study on this, apparently, that over 50% of the country has a 6th grade reading level education. And listen, I'm not trying to downplay or just say, oh my God, these people don't have a right to vote. They only have a 6th grade reading level. Listen, I'm not saying that, that they shouldn't be able to vote. I'm simply saying that this is a problem. Because again, when people have a low level education reading comprehension, or people just like, when I look at this, people tend to only read headlines, or they'll watch their favorite news channel and make a determination based upon that. Not because it's true, but because it captures your attention. And again, who is the most famous for peddling misinformation and bullshit? None other than the future president of the United States. I mean, it's not a coincidence that after the election, people were Googling, what do tariffs do? That search engine spiked because of the talk of tariffs came around. And listen, many influencers and economists and people like Mark Cuban even actually came out and said, this is what tariffs actually do. And this is what's going to happen if Trump comes into office and tariffs come into effect at like a 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or even like 1,000% as Donald Trump has actually insinuated. Now, again, what does all this have to do? Why am I bringing up elites? Why am I bringing up the deep state? Well, think about all the people that is now coming into his administration. I'm just going to break it down to 3 people as of right now. 3 people that could definitely change the course of this country. The first one is, in fact, Donald Trump. The reason why this is because he's made it abundantly clear what his plan is. At no point he has ever tried to say, I want to bring the country together. He's talked about settling scores. He's talked about being I will be your retribution. He's talked about weaponizing the Justice Department because he feels like it was weaponized against him, which isn't true. He's talked about shutting down mainstream media outlets. He's talked about basically like how he's going to negotiate all these great trade deals, which all these tariffs are actually going to make our prices go up higher. But the thing is, he continues to peddle in misinformation because people listen to him. He's entertaining and he gets people talking and he lets people just get sucked into him essentially. And there are people in this country that believe every word that he says. He could say the sky is green and people will say the sky is green even though they haven't gone outside in 10 fucking years. That's the first person. The second person, Vivek Ramaswamy. Wealthy billionaire. Is taking part in like his development with his companies of drugs for Alzheimer's. I could definitely see him. He says that he's going to be helping work with Elon Musk, who's number 3, to work on government efficiency. But what is his angle? Because the guy has no experience working in government. And on multiple occasions, he's actually been outed as being not the greatest businessman, by Mehdi Hassan, when he had him on last year to talk about what exactly are you going to do? Like, how are you going to negotiate with Vladimir Putin? He's not just going to just do it because you ask him to.
Fantasyland where I was vice president in some other year in the historical history.
Let's talk about you as president.
Actual, what I'm running for,
Understood.
This is what we're going to do.
Let me ask a question so we don't run out of time. Please don't filibuster. I just want to ask a question about when you're president, you said this is your words, quote, if you want to stay out of no-win wars and make America stronger at home, I know how to get that done. Genuine question, Vivek, not a gotcha. How? How do you know how to get that done? With respect, you've literally never done anything like that in your life. I could go out on the street outside the studio, grab someone. They have as much experience as you do of keeping us out of foreign wars. That's not an insult. That's just a statement of fact.
No, it's not an insult. It's a fact, right? And it is also a fact that everybody else who does have experience in the foreign policy establishment has been sending us into no-win wars for a long time. Both of those are facts. Here's how I would do it. Let's get specific, and I'm glad we've finally gotten to the doorstep of actually discussing a policy agenda. Here's what I would do. Pull Russia apart in its military alliance with China. Those two countries are in a military treaty dating back to 2001. That is the single greatest threat that the United States faces. So I would end the Ukraine war on terms that, yes, allow Ukraine to at least come out with its sovereignty intact, which may not even be the track they're on right now. But in return, and also make a commitment that NATO will not admit Ukraine to NATO. In conjunction, and by the way, for people in the foreign policy establishment, they forgot that Gorbachev was made that promise by James Baker in the United States in 1990. So keep our word there. But in return, actually make a hard requirement that Vladimir Putin exit his military alliance with China and remove his Russian military presence from the West. That's the deal that I would do.
Again, the fantasy land is why would Putin just agree with you? Why? Because you asked nicely, Putin will hold his word. He'll pocket your concessions and not just carry on dealing with his biggest trading partner, China?
Mehdi basically grilled him, and all Vivek could do was just smile and say, you have no idea what you're talking about, and just completely just collapsed, honestly. But I only am concerned because he's talking about gutting regulations and possibly taking away Social Security, and, don't quote me on this, the possibility of veterans losing some benefits. Again, don't quote me on this, but that is a possibility. And what exactly is this going to do? Are people worried about, like, there's too much fat within government, but you're actually going to take advantage of the most, the people that need these benefits the most? How is that going to help anything? The next person and last person is the one we should all be concerned about, Elon Musk. The reason why I say we should be concerned about Elon Musk is because he's never actually invented anything, to my recollection. Tesla did not invent. He bought it. He marketed it. It's become somewhat successful, but stocks are going down. And, you know, it's having problems as far as like, you know, what's it called? Like catching fires and whatnot. But the one thing I'm really worried about is his influence on X. Now, I have a platform on X. I don't have a very large following, which is fine. I'm okay with it. Working on it, though. But it's the fact that he's able to control information at a level to which I have never, ever seen. This is a guy that got community noted on his own platform, and guess what he did? He got rid of that community note because he does not like being told that he is wrong. When he first took over X, I remember when a content creator, Destiny, actually did a video about this, where Elon Musk was talking about doing a complete full rewrite of X.
Yes. I mean, I think, frankly, if you want to have a really high velocity of features, I think we'll just need to do a total rewrite of the whole thing.
Wait, seriously, a total rewrite. That's your prediction for velocity.
Yeah.
Well, when you say a total rewrite, do you mean starting with the skeleton, or a bunch of engineers sit down with a whiteboard and say, "What is Twitter"? Revolution or reform?
I mean, I just mean like literally, like there's like you could either try to amend the crazy stack that exists, or rewrite it.
But when you say crazy stack, what do you mean? Like, break it down.
Have you seen George's like diagram?
No. I mean, like, what do you mean by crazy? No, seriously. Come on, buddy. Come on.
Who are you?
What do you mean? Who am I? I don't know. You gave me the fucking mic. I got no.
I didn't give you the mic.
Whoa! I'm doing the mic, and let's keep it civil in my space.
I mean, yeah.
Like what? No, man. You're in charge of the servers and the programming, whatever. Like, what is the stack?
Keep things technical in my space, please.
Take me from top to bottom. What does the stack look like right now? What's so crazy about it? What's so abnormal about this stack versus every other large-scale system on the planet, buddy? Come on, give it to me.
All right. So first off,
amazing. Wow, you're a jackass.
Okay.
The reason why I am concerned about Elon Musk is because he basically controls a large social media platform where a lot of people get their news and information from. That's basically like a foundation for white supremacists, racists, Trump supporters, and again, not every Trump supporter is a racist, but the majority of racists, I would say like 99.9% of them voted for Trump. I mean, I didn't make the rules. They just happen to be there. But it's just, they all are on X or they're on True Social. And it's the fact that he does not like to be corrected. Anytime you try to correct him, he basically will put a stop to it like right away. The rules on X are very inconsistent though, because I've been blocked, or not blocked, but suspended a couple times over something that I didn't really say, but yet somebody can make anti-Semitic, horrible, derogatory, racist comments and launch death threats, and it doesn't go against community notes. It doesn't make any sense. But here's the thing that I'm concerned about. They're talking about rolling back aspects of the Green New Deal. Now, why is this a big deal? Because first things first, the Green New Deal is not a thing. The Inflation Reduction Act, however, has brought forth positive legislation because when the Biden administration and the Harris administration brought forth the CHIPS Act, which is going to bring more semiconductor plants to this country, which is going to do what? Create more American jobs. And the reason why these are important is because semiconductors are pretty much used for everything. Cell phones, computers, television sets, and guess what else? Electric cars. Yes, the dreaded electric cars that somehow people have a problem with, have no problem with Tesla, but yet other cars and like mandates they have a huge problem with. We need to understand something. A mandate is not a law. Let alone the fact that with the Inflation Reduction Act, this was going to give people tax write-offs for buying an electric car. Now, nobody is being forced to buy an electric car. Nobody is being forced to do so. No one is going to be forced to buy one in the next few years, especially under this administration. But the reason why I'm concerned about this is because should this be a thing, and this is just a prediction, I predict that Elon Musk will try his best to control the market. He wants to be the sole creator and distributor and manufacturer of all electric cars. And because of all the semiconductor plants being built, that which was signed by this administration, the Biden-Harris administration, not the Trump administration, but the Biden-Harris administration, he's going to take full advantage of that. And because he helped get Trump into office, this is probably what was negotiated upon. So you have to think about this. These three players have been working behind the scenes to basically steer and influence policy. I mean, even think about the border bill that Trump told not to sign off on. Trump is telling the Republicans not to accept any more justices. This is working behind the scenes. This is the stuff that he's been preaching about, the deep state coming after us, but he's doing the exact thing that he's being so critical of. He says the deep state is out here to undermine me and undermine this administration when he was president. Apparently, they've been after for 8 years. They are so good and they are so competent, but yet they can't take down one guy. Listen, Donald Trump's a fucking idiot. I'm saying it right now. He's a fucking moron. He's probably one of the dumbest people we've ever had as president. Yeah, Joe Biden might stutter and fumble about, but he's not an idiot. Donald Trump is. He's a fucking moron. And people actually expect me to believe that the deep state is that incompetent, but yet they're the most sophisticated organization out there? Really? You expect me to believe that shit? It's not true. If anybody is the deep state operative, look no further than the incoming administration led by Donald Trump. Think about it. Using the media to pin people against one another. Using the media to undermine our elections. Using the media to undermine our government. Working behind the scenes to undermine policy. Spreading massive amounts of misinformation that people will actually buy into to get you elected. Wealth and power. He's got him and 2 other guys are wealthy billionaires. Elon Musk is the wealthiest man in the entire world. Those are 6 ways that they are the deep state. And let me put it to you like this. When COVID-19 hit, everybody swore up and down that Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates were responsible for crimes against humanity, even though they have no proof of this. They like to say how Bill Gates has no place in our government. Well, guess what? He's not a part of our government. Well, guess who's about to be part of our government? That's right, Elon Musk. So I want you all to take this in consideration. And you don't have to believe me. I just need you all to look at the details and the facts that I have laid out. We've got 3 wealthy businessmen that are now going to be in our government. It's not because they have a great business acumen. They got there because they got lucky. Donald Trump got there because he's great at marketing and he walked in on his dad's wealth. Elon Musk came from a wealthy, prestigious family, and then he also managed to buy in the companies he's had. He's managed to find the talented people to make him successful. And Vivek Ramaswamy helped develop some medications, I guess, are successful, but that's still up in the air. He doesn't really have much of a platform on the ground to stand on, essentially. Anytime you try to pin him to the wall, he just laughs and smiles and just deviates and deflects from another topic. But these 3 guys are now going to be in our government. And they've been working very hard to steer things in their direction. So people like to point at George Soros. That's 1 billionaire. I've just given you 3 billionaires. But that's not talking about the other billionaires that are involved. Grant Cardone, another billionaire. Peter Thiel, another billionaire. Mary Mandelson, another wealthy billionaire. All working behind the scenes. I mean, am I wrong? I don't know. I know some people are not going to be happy about this, but I don't give a shit at this point. I'm simply telling you this is just an observation I'm making. I could be wrong, but in this case, I seriously doubt I am. So anyway, if you like this video, feel free to hit like, share it, and subscribe, and I will see you the next time on the Alex Hirsch Project.